So.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We were like sitting here in silence, waiting
You
for
were
somebody
motioning
to
to me,
say.
but I didn't even notice.
I wanted somebody to say so.
I'm glad Courtney said so.
I'll break the ice.
That's
Yeah.
how we always start the show.
That's the only way to start this show.
So.
Okay, I got two little anecdotes, right? Basically, this one, is dumb, but whatever. Look, all I know is this: we're just talking outside, and I mentioned that at conventions, there's this thing that I like to do, right? When you go to a convention, when you go to a panel, you're waiting outside in lines to get into the panel to speak to,
When you say conventions, you're referring to like
Comic-Con,
right?
yeah, Comic-Con, WonderCon, that sort of thing. You know, you're waiting outside in lines to speak to these celebrities or these directors, writers, whatever. The thing is, a lot of times what happens is that somebody will walk by and they will ask you, oh, hey, what's this line for? So my favorite thing to do is to tell them something really weird because it is Comic-Con and most likely people will believe it. Even though it's like really outlandish. And I tried to push it as far as I could one time. I think it was like in 2013 or 12 I went. We're waiting in line, and by the way, in the comic book world, it's like a Versus books were really big that year. Anyway, so somebody walks by, and they're like, oh, hey, well, what's this line for? And the first thing I say is, oh, yeah, it's X-Men versus Star Trek. And he's like, oh, okay. And he walks away. And then later on, some other guy walks by, and he's like, oh, what's this line for? And I had to make something else up, so I was like, it's X-Men versus the Evil Dead. He's like, oh, okay. My favorite one, though, and this guy, like, looked really, I don't know, I love the look on his face, but this guy walks up, and he's like, what's this line for? And I say, it's, like, the most serious, like, serious face I can muster. I say, it's X-Men versus Dance with the Stars.
Nice.
and he just kind of like nods to like, oh, okay.
Did he get in line?
No, he just walked out. But other thing is this.
I wish he got in line.
I would have
This story would have been way better if he got in line. Should have lied to me.
I should have lied to you. I'll keep it in mind to lie in the future. Other thing I want to mention.
Some people deserve better than the truth.
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth.
Other thing I want to mention about it's Fig Newtons, right? Basically, I mentioned outside to these guys that I was going to buy a 5-hour energy because I was so tired and I needed the energy, but I decided to buy like a granola bar and a Fig Newton. And I knew when I was buying that Fig Newton, I'm going to be disappointed. Like, Fig Newton is really going to be disappointing. And when I took a bite of it in front of these two, Courtney and Ryan, I was disappointed. But it was a disappointment that I expected. It was a very comfortable disappointment, right, Ryan?
Yeah. Nostalgic
disappointment.
I think I'm that way with smoothies. I keep saying, okay, I'm going to give it a try, and then I'll get one. I'm just like, nope, not for me. Nope, every time.
Yeah, but that sounds more like you don't like it. I think Noosh, when he ate that Fig Newton, he was like, "This, I expected this."
Yeah, it's exactly
I don't like it,
as.
But
yeah,
I'm glad it's what I expected.
It's the disappointment of life in a bar.
Their new slogan.
All right,
it tastes like life. Wow. Amateur hour.
Amateur hour. Here we go.
Here we go.
Quick mention.
Yeah.
They're doing I don't know if they're doing like a trivia night or if they're doing, I don't know what's going on out there, but they're playing like 90s music, Little Mermaid, Sex and Candy.
Yeah.
Whatever. But we might be able to pick up a little bit of that.
If it does, just know that that's not us.
We're not cool enough to play Little Mermaid.
We don't even have the licenses to play that.
It's true.
So welcome to another edition of Celebrities Underwater. I'm one of your hosts, Dinesh Kumar Singha, and
Painful. Regrettably, Ryan Walters.
Just along for the ride, Courtney.
And our guest for
guest.
today is our good friend, Kent Melendez. Kent,
hey,
welcome to the show.
Hey,
Welcome.
how's it going?
Yeah.
Long
Thank
time
you
listener,
for coming out.
apparently.
Long time listener.
I mean, ever since you guys announced it on Facebook, I followed it and decided to listen to it, especially JB. JB likes to blast it on Facebook.
Hey.
Does he? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to JB wherever
He's
he
very
is.
supportive
San
of you
Francisco.
guys. So Yeah, and ever since then, I've been a subscriber. Just listen to your stuff, and
Cool,
that's
man.
why I knew a little bit about the whole so info thing
Yeah.
earlier.
Dude,
Guys.
that means it's a thing.
What?
The so, it's a thing. Like, people know we do the so.
People meaning
We
him.
do the so.
the so-
Hashtag
the intro. So
Hashtag
intro.
we do the so.
So, we do the so.
That's
Yeah.
the full hashtag.
That
We
could be
do
the
so.
hashtag we
Could
do
be
the so.
Yeah.
We do this stuff. Hey, that's a good one.
That works.
Listen, we got to work on those hashtags.
Yeah, we do.
We
They're
do.
all. By the way, also another. I'm gonna have a lot of disclaimers today.
Yeah.
Another disclaimer is I'm like in kind of like an incredible amount of pain, so
Yeah.
I'm not on point, but I'm here.
Hey, Ryan,
Still,
you know
showbiz.
Okay.
Show must go
Show
on.
must go on. Also, Ryan, no, man. Everybody knows, even when you're not on point, you're on point. Ryan Walters, works hard, lovable, funny. It's all right.
Thanks. Let's not get too.
All true.
Let's not get too cute in here.
All right. All right. Sorry. I just realized I did
Okay.
that. All right, let's get on.
Today we're talking about
Gaming.
more specifically classic video games.
Classic, but I always try to boil down our topics to one word because I want to keep a constant theme going. I love my comfort zones. My comfort zone right
Dude,
now
I know.
is one word.
There's a lot of things, suggestions that I've made, or like things that people are like, oh, we should try this thing, or we should try doing this other thing. He's like, we've already done it this other way.
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
I just really like
We're
running
not gonna-
jokes, and I want everything to become a running joke. And but then there's also the fact that Ryan knows this. Whenever I drive, if I know I'm going to exit in 5 miles, whatever, 5 miles I'm going to exit, I'll stay in the right hand lane because I know I'll have to get there eventually. So
It's
I'm
not
like,
even
"Oh."
5 miles. If you have to get off the freeway ever,
Yeah.
you stay.
Which is always.
in the right lane. I don't think I've ever even been in the car where you went
If we're
all the way
if we're
to
driving,
the left.
I'll go all the way to the left if it's like far. If it's okay, how's it? If it's 50 miles, I'll drive on the left side. That's it. Only
For
50
8 of those miles.
for 8 of those miles.
The rest of it will be mostly to the right.
Yeah, I just really want to be prepared for whatever happens, and
Yeah.
whatever happens being exiting the freeway.
Oh, I gotta get off right now.
Yeah. So okay. Well, our topic for today is gaming, specifically classic gaming, and
Yes.
oh wait, hold on. Before we even, we almost made a faux pas again, but I'm glad we caught it.
Good.
Kent, tell us about
Oh my
yourself.
god.
Tell
You're
us
dropping
about
the ball.
Balls are
hard.
dropping.
Hey, but I will
Puberty.
compliment you that you did get my last name right. So
Yeah.
don't worry about
Actually,
making
I
mistakes.
think Kent might be the first person on our show who you've said his name correct.
I
first
want to
try.
be. Guys, I want to establish my recurring theme.
Mm-hmm.
Before we were on air, I called him Ken. I want to point that out.
That's true.
Yeah. So I did my faux pas off air.
You'll probably do it again.
I will.
Anyway, Kent,
Sure.
tell us about yourself.
Okay, let's see. Where do I start? I guess I'll start with I'm a student currently at CSUN, studying to be a speech pathologist. This is my second year in the master's program. I've got a little less than maybe 2 semesters left.
Nice.
Man.
So especially tying along with that, when you were talking about childhood development theories
Yeah.
and whatnot, the whole Piaget thing, that was on point when you were talking about that. So just want to let you know.
Hey, Sesame Street.
Yeah. Blue's Clues.
Yeah, there you go.
Is a combination.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so nostalgic. By the way, isn't it great? We have 8 episodes, and now we have enough episodes where we can be like, oh man, like kind of nostalgic about old episodes. We have a roster. We have an archive of
Dude,
stuff.
I think you strive to be nostalgic
I do.
about everything. Fig Newtons,
I do.
shows that started like 2 months ago.
I want to feel like I've lived life. You know.
You don't want to live life. You just want to feel like you already
Actually,
have.
can I tell you something really? It's funny personally. I like to think my whole life when I was a kid, I think people who knew me in like elementary, middle school, high school knows about me. I wanted to make life as much like a TV show as possible. Like in high school, I strove to make everything like a comedy, like a Saved by the Bell type situation all the time. Ridiculous situations, jokes. My goal in life
Cool
was
shirts.
cool shirts. Actually, yeah, I had Anyway, my goal in life was I wanted to never have regrets. But now I'm an adult, and my life
Everything
is
is
just full of
regret.
regrets. Everything's a regret. So I want
I
to be
know them
nostalgic.
feels.
Yeah, bro.
Remember the good old days before we fucked everything up for ourselves?
Yeah, I can remember.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to share with us, Ken?
Let's see. I mean, should I share how I met you, I guess, so to speak? Through,
Actually,
like,
I mean, I would
JP?
love to share because there's some little anecdotes here and there that I Sure. Tell us how you met us, and we'll add to that.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of related with the theme, to be honest, because at first I met you guys through our little group project, the Game Pop, which was supposed to be a video game pop culture website.
Yeah,
and
we
so
wrote
JB,
for you guys,
dude.
very briefly.
Game Pop
Yeah.
is an important part of my life back in those days. I really wanted to be a web writer. I wanted to write about video
man.
games.
I remember.
We went to like art openings and
Yeah,
stuff.
dude, we went to
had
art openings.
journalism passes.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, right.
Wow.
I am 8-bit, right?
Yeah. I am 8-bit. I was really proud of an article that I wrote that like got a lot of views about basically like the seven requirements for a good video game franchise.
Uh-huh.
Got a lot of hits. Actually, the topic I'm talking about tonight though is something I wanted to write for the Game Pop, but never got to, and now it's just I'm talking about it here.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, Game Pop. That was how we met. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, okay, here's what I remember about how we met, though. And I want to mention this in hopes that not only I want people to know about him, but also because I hope one day he'll be on our show. When we met Kent, it was the same time we met, like, the guru of the Game Pop.
Oh, Lord.
Manny.
Manny.
Yeah.
Manny Guardado is one of me and Ryan's, like, favorite people in the world. We love him. He's so funny, and...
Manny is probably one of the most charismatic people I've ever met in my life.
He is. Yeah.
I'll tell you this, like, one of my favorite memories of Manny was when we went out drinking that one night at the Village.
Shouldn't we save our memories of Manny when Manny's on the show? If he ever gets on the show,
I don't want to save this for like 2 years from now because I don't know how busy Manny is.
Listen, man. Also, Kent is our guest. We shouldn't.
Well, it's stories, man. All right, whatever,
fine.
whatever.
Fine.
I don't
No.
care.
I know the story you're gonna tell.
It's fine. It's
Do
whatever.
it. Say it.
No.
Maybe we'll entice Manny to leave his kid at home.
No,
for
you're
like
right,
a day.
dude. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this story for the day Manny
Listen,
comes
Manny,
on air.
we can make you sound really cool on
There
the
you go.
radio.
We can make you a star.
Right.
Just come on our show, man.
Bring the baby, dude. Just bring the baby. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, that's around the time we met the whole crew.
Right.
The Game Pop. It was
Yeah.
good. It was a good time. It was a good time. So okay, awesome.
Also,
Yeah.
another thing we
Right.
talked about this briefly before being on air. JB introduced us to
Right.
Kent, Ken, who was on the show a couple episodes ago, and another friend of ours named Kenny.
Yeah.
And so I assumed that they were all friends and they all knew each other.
Yeah.
And because Courtney knows Ken, I assumed she also knew Kent. Not the case.
Yeah.
Just full of
Yeah.
assumptions. I'm like, oh, all these people have K's in their names and they all know JB. They must all be friends.
It's kind of weird, dude.
Also, Courtney showed me some middle school pictures of JB,
Oh my god, I've seen
and they
these.
are hilarious.
Oh,
They're
really?
kind of blurry,
Oh.
so you can't fully see
I mean,
it,
you
but
can't
get the
see his
idea.
face, but you see,
Yeah.
you look at the shape of that person
You just know it's
and like
JB.
his
Yeah.
features, and you're like,
Yeah.
look at
That's
that
JB.
face. That's JB.
Dude, by the way, we have to start this show, but before I want to say one thing. Dude, have you noticed, Ryan, that like the majority of our social circle is because of JB?
I
in
know.
a weird way.
And then
dude?
he
He moved.
He giveth and then he taketh away.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
stopped to bring
yeah.
us around other people. He was like,
Yeah.
nah, you guys keep you're over here.
I mean, I actually
We're
all
not
my
friends. You're
all
not going
my
to meet any of my other friends.
all my like high school friends I grew up with and stuff, they all moved away. So all of my friends are the friends I made after I was like
Yeah.
19 and
And
stuff.
I killed all of
Pretty
my high school friends. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We should get your high school friends on the show so I can tell those stories because those are fun stories too, man.
I mean, I can tell those stories. I'll just change the names for.
Yeah. For privacy's sake? Nah.
Yeah, I guess.
I
don't know.
guess.
Anyway,
All right, let's start the show.
so-
Ryan, let's do it.
Video games. So video games, pretty near and dear to me. They're important part of my life. Obviously,
You're very passionate about video games. I mean, more so than even me. I mean, I think you really love them.
definitely
more
more
than
so than you. Yeah, that sounded weird. Like I was
No,
insulting
I mean,
you.
it's fine,
It's
yeah.
not. It's true. I'm
Yeah.
just agreeing with you.
me. Yeah, he Ryan introduces me to a lot of games. So
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for a couple reasons. I mean, obviously, I grew up playing them since I can remember. You know, they're one of the few things in life that I can genuinely say that I'm like naturally kind of skilled at.
And dude, it's true. There's one time we played this game called Shadow of the Colossus. It took me an hour and a half to find the weak spot and beat the first boss of the game. Ryan, I gave him the controller. He didn't even watch me play. I did it on my own. I said, try to see if you can figure this out. Ryan figured it out in 10 minutes. Like, he's very naturally rational at video games.
Either that or you're very bad.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think one of the reasons that I like video games so much, or like the biggest reason maybe for me, is I just feel like they have, as a medium, they have potential to be one of the greatest storytelling mediums possible.
Yeah.
For us. I mean, if they're done right, they can do a lot more than like tell a story. They can make you a part of a story.
Sure.
And I mean, mostly that. If you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, experience is the strongest form of understanding.
Right.
A human can really
Video games allow you to put shoes on.
What?
I mean, sorry, other people's shoes on. That sounded terrible.
It'll teach you how to put your shoes
That's
on.
a really exciting video game. Learning to tie your shoes. Yeah, so I mean, there's no game yet, I guess, that can make you really feel like you've lived through war or like experienced tragedy or love or anything. But I've definitely had video games that have given me like a really strong emotional feeling or like a perspective that I otherwise wouldn't have.
Morden.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I know this episode is about classic video games, and, back in the day, video games were very simple. So you wouldn't think that sort of thing carries over very much.
Right, because the graphics weren't advanced.
Well, the graphics weren't advanced. There wasn't, even just hardware-wise, there wasn't a whole lot of memory space or just logically or physically capable. It wasn't physically capable of a lot. But I do want to talk about one game that actually came out before I was even alive that
old.
Told a pretty serious story. Yeah. So this game gave its creators, or its creator, singular, the guy who made it, had nightmares for like a really long time after making it. It haunted him, this game. I'm going to talk about Missile Command. And real quick disclaimer, there's Are they a YouTube channel? I mean, what else do they...
They are a YouTube channel. They're a show.
They have like
they're
a podcast,
yeah.
whatever. There's a show called Extra Credits who also covered this.
You got to shout out to them.
And I'm sure other people have also covered this as well. Probably better than I'm going to. But, you're already listening to me, so might as well just...
I mean, the goal of our show is our own commentary on it. So, but definitely, shout out to them because they originated this whole thing.
Well, that's at least where I first heard of it.
By the way, though, I mean, who's heard of Missile Command? Like, you guys are familiar with it? You have. Are you familiar?
No.
Do you remember that game?
Never
do you remember that
heard of
arcade
Missile
game,
Command?
Courtney?
You've played Missile Command.
I'm sure you have, because
Everyone's played. Everyone alive.
When you go to the
Maybe I
arcade,
haven't.
when you go to the arcade, remember this game where there's like 3 cities, six cities, and there's like two spinning balls. It's literally a game with 2 spinning balls, and all you're doing is spinning the balls to shoot up like defensive rockets to defend the cities against
I think I
aerial
maybe have seen
bombardment.
it,
It's
but
also-
I don't think I ever played it.
It's also been on computer where you just use your mouse. To,
That's
Okay.
true.
Okay.
Yeah.
that was my first experience with it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, the computer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I played at the arcade. Yeah. Long
Yeah.
time
I mean, I've played it at the arcade, but I think my dad had like this old Atari thing on the computer, like a program that had like Missile Command. It also had Tempest. I don't know if you guys remember Tempest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Tempest. All right, so Missile Command was released on Atari in 1980. I was going to say I'm pretty confident that everyone in here has played it, but I guess Courtney
I'm the odd one
proven
out.
me wrong.
It's okay.
I still believe Courtney's played it because it's hard to imagine somebody not, like, at some point as a child just spinning those.
I would do that when I'd be waiting for like my brother to finish up, and I'd just spin him. I wasn't playing it, but I would be spinning it.
Right.
So for anyone who's never heard of or isn't aware of what Missile Command is, it is you control 3 missile stations, and there's 6 cities between them. So there's like a missile station on the left side of the screen, 3 little cities, one in the middle, missile station, 3 more cities, another missile station. So the whole point of the game is you're just trying to save these little towns from nuclear destruction. So there's missiles, nukes coming down from the top of the screen, and you're shooting missiles to intercept them.
Oh, how old is this game again?
1980.
So this is like relevant to the time.
This is Cold War-ish era.
Okay.
Yeah. So it came out in 1980. Pretty fresh off the Cold War. Or, I mean, still technically part of the Cold War.
It's not fresh off the Cold War. It is the Cold War. Like,
Yeah.
But it's like the tail end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's towards the end.
Right.
It's winding down, I guess, but fresh in people's minds. So it doesn't sound like much, and it wasn't. I mean, the nukes were just like red lines on a screen. Explosions were just these multicolored.
I don't remember. Were the good missiles, your missiles, white colored?
They were white.
They were white. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the explosions were just these little
Yeah. Fireworks. Kind of
8-bit, 16-bit,
Yeah.
whatever little explosions. And actually, when I played it as a kid, I I kind of hated Missile Command. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, and I'll explain more why later. But it's just very simple, and it's just, point and click kind of thing. But if you look closer at it, there's a lot more going on. So, like we said, released in 1980, Cold War era. A lot of people probably still thinking about or worried about nuclear war with Russia. Also, let's talk about the scope. So, a lot of games now are save the world, save the galaxy, they're huge things. This is 6 cities. We can really, I can name 6 cities locally. I could drive to 6 cities right now.
Right.
You're not so much as like a general or like a savior of the world or something as you are just like county supervisor of missile defense or something. We all know
the chief to the undersecretary of missile defense.
County supervisor is like a thing that we can all recognize. Okay, so this is a very small scale, sort of like real kind of. You can put yourself in that situation. And there's no pause. There's no nothing you can do except just go. So it forces you to make really tough decisions for the game
on the
as
fly.
far as on the fly. So do you let all the cities get destroyed except for one and just focus on saving that one? Do you, because you have limited missiles as well.
Yeah.
So do you try to save all of them with your missiles and you run out faster? So it forces you to do a lot of on the fly sort of momentary decision making.
Yeah, sacrifices.
Yeah. And the one thing, and this is where it starts to get pretty intense, I guess, if you think about it. There is no way to win Missile Command, and this is one of the reasons I hated Missile Command as a kid. You cannot beat Missile Command. There's no way to win. You can continue to play longer and longer and longer, and you can keep playing essentially for as long as possible. But there's no win. There's no game over. There's nothing. The only way to stop playing Missile Command is for your last city to get destroyed. And instead of a game over screen like everything else on Atari had, there was one more nuclear explosion on the screen, and it just says the end. Because there are no winners in nuclear war, and everybody's dead now.
What a message.
Yeah. And it sounds like, oh, well, maybe you're reading too much into this, Ryan. It's like a little old game, whatever. But I have a quote from the creator of the game.
Do you know what that guy's name is?
I did.
Okay.
And then I forgot it. So
let's just fine. We'll put it in the post. No worries.
Yeah, it was. I want to say Derek something.
So man, don't strain your back thinking about this guy's name.
Thanks. All right, so here's a quote from him when they interviewed him about the game.
Yeah.
He said, "I'd wake up in the middle of the night from a nightmare, and I'd see these streaks coming in. I'd be up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, see it hit Sunnyvale, and I'd know that I'd have about 45 seconds until the blast reached me. I have those nightmares at least once a month for a year after finishing Missile Command." So this game for this guy, this just little tiny pixelated cities and little red streaks was real to him. It was really terrifying to him, and he can he knew those 6 cities that he was thinking about or that he saw on screen. Those were real places to him.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was the first. I think that's the first example of a game that really told a real story without. I mean, there was no dialogue, there was nothing in it, but it just made people feel things. Not me personally, because I hated it, but it made people feel real
a lot
fear
of people probably
or.
Playing it grew up in that time where they had drills and all of that stuff.
That's right, yeah.
So it was hitting home to them.
Exactly. In those 6 cities, I mean, they could probably be picturing,
That could be me. My city.
Well, not me.
Well, I mean, especially this guy
Families
sounds like he's Californian. So
He is from California. Yeah, so he was picturing 6 cities in California, just Northridge, Santa Clarita. You know what I mean? He had real places in mind when he was doing this.
By the way, his name is Dave Thurer.
Dave called it.
Yeah.
I said Derek. But whatever.
Started with a D.
But
You're
right.
in the right
D
ballpark.
Yeah.
D.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. There are some games that have had effects on me like that, where it's the feeling of it stays with you for a long time. Off the top of my head, the 2 that are both recommendations from Ryan was Braid and Limbo.
Yeah, I mean, I've played games that have I've put the controller down after and I've just sat there for a while, just oh man. Braid was definitely one of those. Valiant Hearts was another
Valiant
one
Hearts.
For me.
Yeah.
I had a real hard time after that game was over, actually. Also, Spec Ops: The Line. I know you never played that.
Yeah.
But
Spec Ops: The Line is the shooter that makes you feel like I should have played that shooter, because normally I don't play like army shooters. I'm not really into that. But
yeah, it's like you're on the surface. It's a very just like Call of Duty military shooter type of game. But there's a lot of things that you do in the game that really makes you question a lot.
Yeah, but it makes you the game makes you question violence and the fact that in video games we are so easily to move towards violence as a solution, whereas there's other ways. Like for example, in the game, there's a chance where there's like a civilians that are like move on you that might harm you,
right?
And most people are just like, well, shoot them, right? Shoot the civilians,
Yeah.
But then there's actually options where if you shoot the sky, they'll scatter. Like there's other ways to stop the situation from becoming violent without using violence yourself.
Actually, there's I don't know where I read this, but they're basically the one thing that I took away from it is the only way to really be the hero of Spec Ops: The Line is to stop playing.
Yeah.
You can't get through that game and get to the end and feel good about yourself, mostly because the game keeps telling you you're a shitty person for doing all those things.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And it's rough because afterwards you're like, oh, why do we how come that's always the solution in every video game? They're all just these. I mean, they're not all. There's a lot of really good video games, but that genre in particular has.
It kind of comes down to also media in general. I mean, this is not the topic for today, but I mean, just media in general often focuses on violence as a solution to things, whereas there's very little focus on other aspects of conflict resolution.
I think that comes a lot from just, we need to have conflict in the game or something for people to do, so let's just shoot people. But Braid was another one that I think Braid and Spec Ops: The Line for me were two video games that sort of make you look at video games differently.
Definitely.
Also,
I'm not going to spoil the ending of Braid. All I'm going to say is Braid is a game. It's like a Mario game almost, but it plays with time a lot, and there's a lot of kind of vague, mysterious clues about what the story is about. It's about like this guy who might be trying to save a princess. They don't
no. At the beginning, the whole time you're playing the game, you have a very pretty like, this is like Mario.
Yeah.
Go into a castle.
They
save a
reveal
princess
more as
kind
you
of
go.
thing. Yeah.
Just as you play the game, though, and you start to realize what the story is. I'll say this: at the end, the last level, when Ryan and I played it, we had a oh shit moment. Like we just actually stopped and like stared at the screen and watched what happened in gameplay. Like not even like cutscene. We're playing the game. And we're starting to realize what's happening, and we're like, "Oh my god, this is not happening."
That was a pretty sweet moment, actually.
It was one of the earliest moments. Yeah,
you know what's funny talking about Braid? That was one of the articles I wrote for Game Pop. He wrote about Braid.
Yeah,
and it was aptly titled "Learning to Braid."
Yeah, that's right.
Can I say that
Very clever.
Kind of, it's clever, but it's also
stupid.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible.
I know. I wrote it. I know. I look back on it and I'm like, Jesus.
But it's memorable, right? Because you're able to chime in, learning to braid. I mean,
memorable for me because I wrote it and I'm ashamed of it.
So far though, we've made a list of games for the listener to go home.
Yeah, if you have never played Braid or Limbo or, Limbo
was special to me.
Was special to you even more so than to me.
Because Limbo's, you just start playing Limbo. It's another game where you start playing.
Right.
But you've heard of it, right?
Yeah, they just throw you in
there.
Yeah,
Limbo is, have you played it, Courtney? Limbo's a game. I'm assuming, are you just a not really a gamer?
The games that I've played.
Mario Kart.
No,
I hope you play.
I never played Mario Kart.
I know Ryan's
the noosh thing.
Ryan's doing a noosh thing. Yeah.
Well, let me say this for video games. My mom would not let us have a gaming system in the house. So growing
Catherine,
up, we didn't have it.
Is her name really Catherine?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we would only get to play video games like if you went over to my uncle's place because he had it, or my cousin because he had it, or friends or whatever. But every once in a while, because you could back in the day when Blockbuster was around, you could rent a game system.
Oh, yeah.
So
Shout out to Blockbuster.
every once in a while,
R.I.P.
my mom would let us rent a system, and we'd have it for the weekend, and then it would go back. So that was about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we finally got systems, like the games I played were like Disney's based off of the movie. What's the one with the Emperor's New Groove?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That one. And Disney Racing, we played that, my brothers and sisters and I. I did love Sonic. I played Sonic.
Of course,
but
right?
never
Who
really
doesn't
got
love
got
Sonic?
into like the story video games that you guys are talking about.
Let me say this, by the way. There was a time where, because right now Disney games are kind of like, it's not really. I mean, they've been like that for a while, but there was a time, dude.
They used to be good.
They
Aladdin,
were, Aladdin,
was...
Lion King, Toy Story. Those three
Toy
were
Story was
legit
good. I did play Toy Story, but yeah, Emperor's New Groove was good, and Tarzan was good. I had fun with those.
Yeah, DuckTales game, yes, DuckTales. That's a Scrooge game. Yeah, that's right, DuckTales.
Yeah.
Well, Limbo. I mean, the reason why it was special to me was it was a story. You start playing, you're like in a purgatory type situation. You're just playing, but you're just like this nameless boy who's looking for a sister, and like that was literally when I came back from Sri Lanka after like meeting my family, and so it was like really like personal to me to see another character do the same thing. It was like mind-blowing. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so Limbo, Braid, Spec Ops: The Line.
The thing about Spec Ops is I recommend people play it. It's not very fun.
Yeah.
It's not, and I think it's on purpose that it's not very fun, honestly, because it's not like you don't feel good shooting people. It's not like...
Yeah, it makes you feel bad.
In Call of Duty, or like other games like that, they make the mechanic really smooth of shooting. So you feel like, oh man, that was like a really good headshot or whatever. You don't feel any of that playing Spec Ops. You're just like, this kind of sucks. Like, you don't feel bad shooting necessarily until it starts making you feel bad. But just the act of like using the weapon and stuff, you're just like, this is not a very good feeling mechanic.
Yeah.
But I think that's on purpose, because the message isn't, oh, you're a hero for shooting all these people. It's, you're a terrible person for doing all of this. Even though you start the game thinking that's what you're supposed to do.
Take my money.
Yeah. Also, Valiant Hearts, I would say. Yeah. If you haven't played Valiant Hearts,
you should. Yeah.
You should, and you should be prepared to be really upset. Actually,
it's one of the few.
You'll feel a lot.
Yeah, it's one of the few games focusing on World War I, and it's basically an adventure story, basically from the perspective of 4 different characters experiencing this story, and it's like
it's
the tragedy
also,
of it.
Some of it is based on letters, real letters that people sent to their families and stuff. In World War I, so it's pretty rough.
Yeah, and there's no shooting, so it doesn't glorify violence at all. Right. It's very much an adventure game. You're trying to like,
it's like puzzle platformer, I guess.
Like
you solve little puzzles and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I got through the game in like a few hours. It didn't take very long at all. Yeah. The Last of Us, I guess, is another one.
Yeah.
Have you played The Last of Us?
I was fortunate enough. I finished it a couple months ago, actually.
No spoilers.
Same here. Yeah, he hasn't played it yet.
Oh, you haven't played it?
I've owned it since I had a PlayStation 2 years ago. Never played it.
Oh, well, you should definitely...
You definitely need to.
Do it.
You know what I've noticed about video games also as a storytelling medium anyway, and I feel like I'm taking up a lot of the whatever. But there's a couple different ways that they tell stories, right? So there's the very linear movie, book-ish kind of storytelling where it's these characters are their own people, they're doing their own thing, and you're just kind of like along for the ride. That's Last of Us. You don't make any choices. You don't really you don't have that much input other than
moving around, doing stuff.
Yeah, directing the characters through the story. But the reason you get so invested is because it's like a long adventure, and you're really involved with what's happening to them, so you start to care about them.
That's true, yeah.
Then there's other ones like Mass Effect where they give you choice, and you choose sort of like what happens.
So you're really attached to the characters because of the fact that they were your choice. Yeah, you're the character.
Yeah,
you're your choices. Yeah.
And then there's also games that I've had like pretty interesting story things happen, but there is no story in the game. So like things like Ark or I guess Minecraft.
Those are the kind that actually Ryan and I have really great adventures when it comes to playing games like this because we're really good at making up our own stories.
Tokyo Jungle.
I
think Tokyo Jungle was one of my favorite gaming experiences. Ever.
Basically,
only because we had so many epic stories in that game, and all it was us running around Tokyo as
different
a chihuahua
and
a deer, trying to survive, making generations of puppies and trying to that game. If you've never played Tokyo Jungle and you have a friend to play it with,
you should play with a friend because it's not as fun alone. I'm basically just playing different animals: Chihuahuas, Pomeranians, tigers, lions, alligators, whatever animal, and you're just trying to survive in Tokyo.
Basically, the story is very loosely.
Yeah,
right.
It's something happened. All the people are dead. All the animals have escaped out of the zoo or
the jungle. Jungle's coming back,
or gotten out of their houses. Hence the Pomeranians. Yeah. To try to survive.
The yipping storm.
Dude, the yipping storm
there was Ryan's Pomeranian at one point went to an alley of like cats, like hundreds of cats took over an alley, and Ryan just killed all of them to the point where
I didn't do it like because I wanted to. They attacked me.
They attacked,
So I
so
had
yeah.
to
So self-defense.
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing was, like, some of those cats did survive.
Some of those
they ran
cats
away.
survived and
but
they ran away.
we made a joke that, dude, at some
They told
point
tales.
they told tales of Ryan, the yipping storm.
And it happened like during a rainstorm at
Yeah.
night. It was
It was
Oh, so
pretty
they-
epic.
everything
It was
lined
epic
up.
level,
So,
dude.
good for you.
There was
Generations
one,
of
dude,
cats
There was
will
another
remember the yipping
story.
storm.
There was another story where I don't know if it was me or Ryan playing, but there was a beagle. He was the
That was
last of
me
his
again.
generation. It was you again.
Listen, if there was ever an animal who survived by himself,
Yeah,
it was
you.
probably me.
I was always the caretaker animal. I was the deer. I was like looking after Ryan. But basically, at one point, Ryan was playing a beagle, the last of his litter, the last of a generation. I think I was playing a deer who looked after the beagles, and he died.
Even you died.
Even-
Dude, this beagle was like 20 years old. Dude. He
Yeah,
was
he
really
was an
old.
old
He was
beagle.
Wow.
because you die of old age in this
Yeah.
game as well. So like one of the mechanics of the game is you have to like find a mate, and you make another generation that you start playing when your character dies.
Right.
But he was.
I
too
didn't
old.
find a mate.
Yeah.
And I was too old to mate at this point. So when
Yeah.
you get past a certain age, you're just like constantly dying. Your health
Yeah.
is starting to
You're-
drop because you're old and you're
Right,
dying.
you're degenerating.
Yeah.
Right.
So we decided that we're going to let this beagle, who's the last of his generation, go out with style. And we had Ryan take the beagle to lion territory where there's
Oh,
lions.
my.
And we thought, okay, there's a lion sleeping right there. We thought we'll attack the lion. Lion will kill the beagle. And this beagle somehow
I killed him.
killed the lion. And we were like blown away. And then we're like, dude, this is the beagle of legend. I think that's what we called him, the beagle of legend. And so we had him go further into lion territory. And then, dude, more lions started coming, lion cubs. Ryan killed like 5 lion cubs and another lion before like
Dude,
7
it took
lions.
like 7 lions cornering me in their den to like finally
man.
kill this
It was-
beagle.
And the
Wow.
last, I think, epic thing I remember from the game was at one point we got into a fight with a pack of wolves. It was like me and him, the deer, and we love playing the deer and the beagle, or the deer and the dog.
You know why I think we like that so much is because it's such an unassuming
Yeah.
pair. Like it's like, oh, these just little.
Yeah.
You know what they felt like? It always felt to me like you see those videos on like YouTube of like
Two
weird
best friends.
animal
Yeah,
friends.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
It was
yeah.
a deer and a dog.
yeah. Well, what happened was we accidentally got into a fight with a bunch of wolves. They started attacking. We're running away because we can't fight back. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was like, I don't know what it was, like alligators. Alligators were there. And we're like, oh, snap. So the alligators and the wolves started fighting. And then like another animal came. I think it was like hyenas or something like that. Some other animal came. They started fighting.
Right.
And we're like, dude, what's going on? And then some like boars, wild boars came, and they started fighting. So there was like a 4-way fight, and me and Ryan were like, dude, we gotta get out of here. We're on top of a building, on rooftops, and this is happening. So we're running away from this like 4-way fight, and the funniest thing happens as we're leaving. Like 6 hippos are walking in a line. They're walking in a line towards the war zone, and we're like, dude, this is the battle of 5 armies. Like, what is going on in this game?
You should play that again. It was tight.
Dude, it was just we'll play it again.
Tokyo Jungle.
Anyway,
All right.
yeah, Tokyo Jungle. Courtney, what do you got for
Okay.
us?
So I kind of came by this story in a weird way. I was trying to look up stuff on video games because, as you guys have seen, I'm not really a video game person.
That's okay.
But I started typing in stuff and, like, fun facts about, I really liked Mario Brothers and Sonic, so I started off there. And then then I got into secret messages in games.
Oh.
But then eventually it led me to this, about this group of guys that got together and they became known as the Bozeman Think Tank.
Okay, I've
Oh.
never heard of that.
Bozeman
Yeah.
Think
I don't know
Tank.
where this is going.
Yeah.
And they were, well, according to this, it's more anecdotal, so I don't know how true this is. But just how they basically kind of figured out a way to beat Ms. Pacman, because when Ms. Pacman came out, there was like no way to really beat it.
Okay.
So
Oh, in what way?
Huh, I did not.
I thought you
know
just beat
that.
the levels and you just keep progressing, right?
I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
Once
All right, cool,
you're
cool.
jumping the gun a bit.
All right.
So an article was written about them. This appeared in 1984 of this magazine called Computer Games. And so what it started off
It's
with
a
saying
great
was
name.
Computer
for a
games.
computer
magazine.
games.
Listen, man, it's the 80s.
Almost as good as learning
Think about
to
this
braid.
though. I mean, back in those days, there's all like new technology and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's like Computer Games, the magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's some other stuff that I was reading too. I'm like, wow, this is a bunch of nerds, but it works. But, like so these guys in particular, but then other people with the different things that they've done. I mean, like they were like video game rock stars, for what they were
Yeah.
able to do. So like Pac-Man, when that came out, people were able to figure out how to beat it, how to get the highest score possible. So that's what it means by beating it, just like getting the highest score possible.
Like maxing your score.
Yeah.
Basically
Maxing, exactly.
It was the age of arcades where the top score was like godhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And reading about this, it reminded me of the movie, which I had to ask Ryan because I forgot the name of it, but the Adam Sandler movie, Pixel, where the opening scene is of them competing against each other. Like, now I thought that was just something for the movie. Like, they just made that. No, I think this was real. Like, they actually had these competitions.
They
and
did,
things.
yeah.
The Wizard was like that, wasn't it? The movie The Wizard?
Yeah.
Kind of, but that reminds me of like the guy who was a champion for Donkey Kong, the king of Donkey Kong.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
There's
all
a
related.
lot of
know,
stuff like that.
yeah.
I mean, there's speed run challenges.
Yeah.
There's people playing blindfolded. There's a lot of like crazy.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay.
But
You know,
yeah,
to each
you're
their
right. There's a
own.
lot of
But
lore and mythos behind it.
Yeah, I didn't know it. So everyone kind of figured out how to beat Pac-Man because it was a matter of to beat that game or to get the highest scores about memorizing patterns. So you can figure out which way the ghosts were going, and you just memorize how they were doing it, and then you were able to get the pill and eat them, and that helps get your score and all of that.
Right.
When Ms. Pac-Man came out, it was a different story. They weren't programmed. Instead, I mean, in terms of patterns, they were programmed for randomness. There's no real pattern to just study and think about it. So that kind of got people like, oh, maybe. So Pac-Man, I think Ms. Pac-Man, and this is not anyone here, but just from my own whatever, is just, I think a lot of people liked Ms. Pac-Man more because of that. It was more challenging to them to
That
try
actually
to figure
explains
out.
a lot, because I've always wondered why Miss Pac-Man was way more popular than Pac-Man, like over and above
Exactly.
more popular.
Yeah. So there's that. So one thing, people pretty early on kind of figured out one way to get through Ms. Pac-Man is to do this thing called grouping, where you would try and group the ghosts together, and then you would get them near a pill so you can get it, and then you could get them real quick. So
There's a lot of strategy in Pac-Man that I never
There's
knew
moves,
of.
man. There's like
That's like chaining, essentially, right?
okay.
Because
the Oka
the points
maneuver
would
or
add up,
something.
because we go 200, 400,
Yeah.
800, and then
So-
1600 eventually.
Yeah, and so you get that. So this story starts in the summer of '82, and it
Like all good stories.
Like
Yeah,
all good
they should
stories.
start
It
in
starts
summer.
in the summer of '82.
Summer
And
lovin'.
it starts with this guy named Tom Asaki, and so he was playing it or whatever. He hadn't started grouping the ghosts just yet, but he was doing that. Then he has a friend named Don Williams, and they go and they're sitting at the arcade in Montana, and they're playing, and they just watch each other, and that's how they're kind of figuring out, and they start getting their techniques together and all that stuff. And they say later on, like, the best way to learn to beat a game is to watch another person, and then
True.
you
Yeah.
feed off of each other and all of that. So then the final person to kind of complete the group, his name was Spencer Oren, also from Bozeman. And so they're all together, they're playing the game, they start sharing their techniques and all of that stuff. So they keep going on. And then January of '83, they decide to make it a group project that they're going to beat Ms. Pac-Man.
Oh, wow.
So it's their goal in life, I guess, is to beat Ms. Pac-Man. Now, I thought these guys are like younger, like teenagers, but I was doing some of the math. These guys are like in the early 20s.
At the time.
At the time.
Okay.
So they're doing this and everything. And so, yeah, their goal is to become the first, second, and third highest total scores ever recorded. That was their goal to do. So they started doing that. There's another thing that they were saying is the basic move is you find a hold position on the board
Oh.
where you can just go in one spot and the ghosts won't cross your path. So you can just kind of stay there. And that's maybe kind of a way to like pause the game if you need to go do something or whatever. Like you just go into that one spot and the ghosts can't get you.
What?
Oh,
I didn't
right.
know that was possible.
That's your bathroom break, essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
Like if you're busy and you have to head out. Yeah.
And this was on
Wow.
Pac-Man too, and they didn't think it was on Ms. Pac-Man, but they were able to figure out, and other people too did figure out like where these hold positions
Whoa.
were.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they were saying it's located in different locations on the 4 maze patterns of the game, and everything like that. So, and then you could pop back into the game, and that's how you kind of started grouping the ghosts together. So then you can go after them and everything.
Ah.
So there's that. So they were doing this, but then the problem that they were running into is that once they got to the highest one, which was within the 4th maze, they didn't seem to be a hold position, and so they kept dying at that part, and so they couldn't get past it. And they seemed to have a lot of problem with the blue-green ghost, like that was like their nemesis. That would just get them.
Dude,
I forgot their names.
Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Sue.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
Dude, how did I
remember which
know
one.
those?
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I remember
now
Blinky
name the seven
and
dwarfs.
I think
Pinky.
Blinky is the blue one because Inky is the
Blinky
red
is
one.
the blue one.
And
Right.
Sue is orange. Pinky is Pinky. So yeah, I think
Right.
it's Blinky.
Blinky.
Okay. Blinky was the bane
I'm
of
gonna
their
look that up,
existence.
dude. What?
No, you're right, but it's lost in translation with the Japanese one because they have actual meanings behind. Like if they have a specific name that would detail how they actually move. I forget what.
Oh, really?
Like one's like revenge and one's against like.
Oh.
Dude.
Like, one will get you in a corner.
Now we're
One will
getting into
seek
the
after
history
you.
of it.
I'm wrong, by the way.
Wow.
Inky is the blue one.
Ah.
the light blue one?
The light blue one. Yeah, blue ghost.
Who
Who
is
is
Inky.
Blinky? Regular blue, right?
There's no regular blue. It's red.
Or
pink,
yeah, I'm thinking of
orange,
the
and blue. Yeah.
reverse thing.
I know Sue is orange.
Orange.
Yeah.
And Pinky is pink, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so that's kind of what they're going to. So then, I don't have an exact date for this, and this kind of, I'm not sure where exactly this falls in, and I think this part might be wrong, but I'm just going to go with it, and we'll say, because this is what kind of motivates them, and this is where they get going. So at one point, this guy named Matt Brass meets up with them, and at this point,
Rival.
no,
Challenger as a
no,
pro.
I don't think he was a rival, but he came back. He just returned from the North American Video Olympics in Otoma,
That was a
Iowa.
real thing in
Whoa.
the 80s. In the 80s, it's like Olympic. Like, it was like a real deal
Yeah, it was
power
a big
glove
thing.
situation.
Yeah.
You know what now they have instead of that is just like championships for individual games. They don't really have a...
You know what it is? Also, right now, listen. Right now, there's tournaments, championships for pretty much every competitive game.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think everything feels cheesier and better and kind of more Olympic-y in the 80s because
Yeah,
it was
of course.
new.
It was new,
like,
yeah.
dude, I can be an Olympian for video games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Radical.
Radical. Tubular.
Throwing
Yeah,
some words there.
I mean,
man.
this is so he comes back and he tells them, well, according to he dropped a bombshell that apparently there are players that were grouping the ghosts on what they were calling junior boards, which is what they were having a problem with in terms of getting. I'm still not quite sure what a junior board is, but I know it's like the higher levels
Yeah.
of it, and so that's where they're having the problems. And this guy comes like, oh no, there's people, they're grouping the ghosts, they were getting these high scores, blah blah blah. But actually, that wasn't true. He
That son of a
miscommunicated
bitch.
it to them, but it didn't matter because of that miscommunication. Those three guys, Tom, Don, and Spencer, they're like, okay, now let's kick it into gear. We're gonna do
figure
this.
this out.
We're gonna figure exactly.
80s
Montage.
Yeah, no, that's pretty. Yeah, just imagine that, like the music going, and they're just like playing the game. I mean, so that's what it was. So because of that, so they worked 5 days straight on the problem.
Wow.
And yeah, so they did that. And so what they came on to is that Spencer is the one that figured out one of the keys was that, because you know how there's like those tunnels that you can go
Yeah,
and
to the other side.
To the other side.
Yeah.
So he figured out that if you use those 4 tunnels, you can start getting the ghosts to follow you, and that's how you can group them and you can go after them. And then, and also he figured out that the pink ghost, who was Pinky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Pinky,
Yeah.
it comes straight at you, and you can position. It was positioned to go in the same direction as you, and so he used all of that to. His way of doing it was avoidance and grouping, and that's what he was doing, using the 4 tunnels and getting all of that.
You know the difference is between these guys playing the game and us playing the game? When I played the game, it was survival. These guys are
Yeah.
hunting. They're hunting ghosts. I'm trying to just survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. So they did all that, and then he was using them to do that, and then it was Tom who made the breakthrough and he discovered finally a hold on the 4th maze. He figured
Dude,
out
this
where
is
that
that
was.
last minute moment where it's like like not the championship, but this is like the climactic moment. He's like, guys, I think I found a hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone runs over to the
They
machine.
get their
Exactly.
tang and they're popping tang, trying to.
So he would do that. He would group the 3 ghosts.
Like a group high five.
Yeah.
He would go into the hold, group 3 of the ghosts, and then he would go into a tunnel. And then while he was doing that, they would then wait for Sue, and then he'd be able to get all of them. So once they figured this out, they were soon achieving scores like in the 400,000 range, and they're getting
Dude, they
up
made
there.
a breakthrough.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all of this
I
happened.
hope this ends, by the way, with them taking on the Japanese team, because that's the only way this has to end.
Well, I was doing a little bit more research. So their whole thing, one of the big.
Did they become the top 1, 2, and 3 scores?
I think eventually, yeah. So the reporting thing, I guess, that kept track of all the scores. There was this magazine called Twin Galaxies.
See, that's a much better name.
So this Twin Galaxies was created in 1981, and it was by this guy named Don something, I think. But anyway, he created...
A lot of Dons in the 80s.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who forgot a name.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all here. I just have to find it.
It's not there.
But anyway, yeah. Anyway, he created
Fail
it
with
after
me.
he bought an arcade, and then he started recording the high scores, and he would actually then travel around to other arcades and start doing that. And so he kind of built it up to become like this is the database for all the high scores. And
oh, dude, that's
back
right.
before the
dude,
internet, dude.
Because in my mind, I was like, oh, he keeps it track of it on a website. No, there's no website. He's just
he's doing
Johnny Appleseeding it up, just
He's
finding
just
those
got
high
volumes
scores.
and files of high scores.
Well, they had their first competition. They invited top players from North Carolina and California, and it faced off in the California Challenges North Carolina All-Star Playoff.
Wow.
California
Very
beat
original
North
name.
Carolina,
Yeah.
10-7.
Yeah, go Cali.
So they did that. But as I was doing more, and then I had a thing from here from one of the actual guys, Tom Asaki. He kind of gave his remembrance of all the events and everything. And what he was saying was that, yes, Twin Galaxies was using all that, but they had a lot of people saying that they had these scores, but really they didn't. So according to him, he thinks that really they were the first ones to get these top scores. And Twin Galaxies, they were going through a period right when they were kind of playing, they were trying to make it more official. And so like he would have to play this, they'd all be playing this game. They'd have to have verification forms and witnesses so they could submit it to them and be like, no, I did it. And so when they got the high scores, he did it and everything, and then he had to be interviewed by somebody there, and then he had to go out and meet another person, and they're like, all right, play the game for me. And so he did, and they're like, okay, that's good. Yeah, I think you're for real, and all of that.
Things were legit in the 80s, not
they
like
wanted
now.
to make sure. So like, there was controversy around the scores.
Like now it's just like Photoshop. That's Photoshop. Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah, I had from his thing from Tom Asaki. He posted some stuff about his world record
Is that a
progression.
leaderboard?
Kind of.
On your paper?
It is.
Wow.
He's missing some of the information because he said that he just moved or whatever. This was written back in
number
2009. But
He dropped.
Yeah. But what was funny in one of the articles I was reading at the end of it, this was from Spencer Oren, and he wrote, thank you for purchasing our manuscript on Ms. Pacman. So they wrote a whole manuscript on how to beat the game, like all of their stuff. And then, it's like, at points you may be confused. So if this is the case, give me a call. And he actually put out his phone number.
Wow.
And everything. But
That's a very different time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of made me sad, though, was there's an editor's note, and apparently Spencer died in 1992.
Oh, man.
He was a young guy when he died, but and then there's another thing from Don Williams just saying, thank you for all the letters, we're great, everything is good, thank you for all your curiosity. He's like, P.S. if Tom were with us, I'm sure he would have something to say, but he is lost somewhere in the Twilight Zone, parentheses, California. Keep in touch. So I don't know how much these guys are actually still in touch with each other, but they were at one point the Bozeman Think Tank.
Listen, the Bozeman Think Tank, they came together. They did this one great thing. They took down the Japanese team, and they became champions. Freeze frame.
Fist up, yeah.
Fist up. And we did it, and then
Roll
you go your
credits.
separate
Roll
ways.
credits.
Yeah.
To follow that up, Tom was saying in his thing, so after they got all of the high scores, they did travel around, and they were showing people their techniques so he can get them to learn
that
it.
is so 80s. Like, travel around, show your joystick skills.
Well,
and...
what I like is the way...
Dude, and they walked into like a bunch of arcades, and some guy was like, this guy thinks he's good. I'll show you good.
Yeah.
And then it's like, dude, do you know who that is? That's Tom. You can't be better than it. Like, there was like a whole...
Pretty much, yeah. Well, he's like, the job of the Bozeman Think Tank was done. We had helped show the way. That's his exact words.
Wow.
So, anyway, so that's kind of about, as the Bozeman Think Tank pioneers of Ms. Pacman.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean...
That is also one of the most 80s stories.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Yeah.
I can see a movie about this. Like, I mean, not a great movie, but
No,
like,
no. You know what, though? Not now. I don't want there to be a modern day like, oh, let's show a movie about this thing. No. They had to have made this movie in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't want
It wouldn't be 80s
this.
enough for me.
Yeah.
It's that artificial 80s.
Exactly.
I can taste it. It's artificial.
Yeah.
Synthetic.
Yeah. Well, Kent, what about you? What do you got for us today?
Oh, okay. Since you brought that up, my topic today is on Megaman. I'm sure our listeners are pretty well familiar with Megaman, the Blue Bomber, as he's known, at least in the States.
Yeah, Rockman in the
Rockman in Japan, right?
Yeah.
But then, interesting story. Now that
But
you bring
Mega
that
Man
up,
in our hearts.
even though lately Capcom hasn't been releasing any more Mega Man games, but I'm sure he'll have a time in the limelight at one point, hopefully. But
Smash Bros. I mean, that's kind of...
Smash Bros.
that's true. I just kind of wish that Nintendo would just buy him, just have him as a property at one point.
Yeah.
But anyway, back
Definitely.
to the topic. But yeah, as you mentioned, that he's known as Rock Band, so I just kind of like to throw out some FYIs for some people who are interested on the history of Mega Man. Just a little taste of it before coming up with an official name in Japan. Keiji Inafune was coming up with certain names. One was like Battle Kid, Mighty Kid, Knuckle Kid. Even at one point,
Knuckle Kid, one of his arms is a gun.
right? Yeah, I guess he packs a punch.
Maybe it was
I don't know.
like a joke, like, Knuckle Kid. He's got one big knuckle.
Meant to be ironic.
Right?
Yeah.
He punches you from like 100 feet away.
Exactly right. But then, as everyone is familiar with the whole trope with Mega Man, you beat a robot master and you get his abilities, and therefore he changes colors. So one of the names was thought of to be Rainbow Warrior Miracle Kid at one point.
Rainbow Warrior Miracle
Kid, yeah. And then even at the point, the Battle Rainbow Rockman.
Listen, I want you guys to know that probably sounds better in Japanese.
That's true. It might be a lot-
Rainbow Rockman.
Okay, so not really.
Not much better.
But in the end, they went with Rockman, and obviously,
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone probably knows that Rockman was connotation with music influence.
Right.
The Mega Man series very heavily influenced with
Okay,
music.
Mega Man has some of the sickest music of any franchise
Of
Yeah.
ever.
games.
Yeah, I mean, you hear all those remixes, arrangements, especially go to ocremix.com, and you see a whole list of
Yo,
them.
shout out to OC Remix.
That's
That's
right.
where we get
That's
our
where we
music
got
from.
our-
Overclock
Yeah.
remix, yeah. Exactly. So, and then...
We almost used a Mega Man song, actually.
Oh,
Chill Penguin,
no.
remember?
Oh yeah, Chill Penguins level. Yeah, we're gonna use that.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. But where should I go from here? Oh, well, now that we have that little bit of history, I guess if anyone is familiar or played with the games, everyone knows that Mega Man is known to be really hard because it's a lot
Yeah.
of issues of memorizing patterns, how to traverse the pitfalls and traps, and then
Also,
constant deaths.
just once you run out of lives, start all over.
Yeah.
Exactly. Start all over again. Exactly. So to touch upon that whole struggle, that inner gamer struggle, on the internet, there was this website on a Japanese site called Nico Nico where they submit like original content, like videos and animations. This one user called Serami Karatutitan, or otherwise known as Sera for short, uploaded a original song called Airman ga Taosenai, which means I can't beat Airman.
Dude, actually, I've heard stories of how infamously hard Airman is. Actually, I think.
It can be. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have the right tools.
Right.
So the whole idea was that it was a ballad, signifying how difficult it is to play Mega Man. It talks about how, I could beat Airman if I had only just gotten, this specific weapon, which was Woodman's Leaf Shield. But since he can't do it, he's having a difficult time trying to beat Airman. But the whole idea was that it started off as a funny thing to just submit online. But then a week later, another group decided, hey, we can make our own take on it. So there was a group called Nyan Nyan, or otherwise known as Team Nekokan, or basically, I guess it would be translated as Cat Can, so to speak.
These guys have a lot of AKAs, also known as blah,
Yeah.
also known as blah,
Right, exactly.
also known as JoJo, or just like something
Exactly, right.
really short.
Right, exactly. So they uploaded this group, Nekokan, uploaded their version on Nico Nico on June 7, 2007. This one video got over almost 1 million views, and the song would eventually be uploaded again officially by the actual group, because first it was just a vocalist who just decided to do it on his own, and then he talked it with the group and decided, hey, you know what, this is a big hit, we should actually make it a big official thing. So it was later uploaded and then printed out on YouTube back in July 1st of 2007. Has anyone seen the video or heard of it?
No.
At this point?
Can't say I have. No.
No? Okay. Well, if you do a quick search on YouTube, it's, at least famously known with the great animation, talks about the struggles of how, you can't defeat certain robot masters. Think of it this way. it got so popular that within, I guess you could say, after 2007, the group decided to make an album out of this a single album on Ergman Gataosenai. This title, at least in Japan, and I guess also here in the States, it's so popular that other people have made their own versions of it, where someone can say, like, I can't beat the X series.
Okay. Yeah.
So they just evolved it
Yeah.
into, I can't beat such
Insert
and
it
such
here.
thing
Yeah.
of Mega Man. 'cause
Right,
Mega Man's too
exactly.
hard.
So I guess-
basically, moral of the story is nobody can beat anything in Mega Man.
It became mimetic.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the one that I'm most familiar, or I guess became familiar with, is the animated version on YouTube, the Team Nekocon, where actually the Tetsu Cross Neko version, where they had
Dude,
a
I
acoustic
don't know
remix.
what is Tetsu Cross Neko?
I don't know. That's what they called themselves in the
Oh, okay.
group.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the name of the group. I thought it was a game. I was like, I've never heard
No,
of this game.
This was another compilation. So, essentially, that they released this version at a convention, Comic convention, during August 2008. Then eventually, this same song became a ringtone in Japan. It became so popular that in the Japanese ringtone charts, I didn't even know that existed. It was
It exists in Japan. I can see that. I can see that.
If there's any place with a ringtone chart,
right. It apparently reached the 15th place, at least for the first half of 2008.
That's
so it's pretty
respectable
popular.
for a video game
that's
remix.
Billboard charts.
Yeah.
Right. And then the popularity doesn't even end there. I'm sure everyone's familiar. Hopefully, you might have heard that the Mega Man series also has a comic appearance.
Yeah. I think
like by Archie Comics.
Right.
Like it's an
By
ongoing
Archie Comics.
Because
Right.
Archie does Sonic and they do Mega Man.
Right, and
That's
they
like
did a
their thing.
crossover eventually, the Sonic Mega Man
Yeah.
crossover. So the reference.
I want to make this point really quick though. I didn't read the Mega Man comics. I've read the Sonic comics, and I think I know you have. I don't know if you guys have. Did you guys ever watch the old '90s
The
Sonic,
Sonic TV show.
the cartoon show? Not the goofy one, but the serious Sonic cartoon.
Which one, Underground or?
I think
that
no,
means
no,
he's
no.
watched it.
Maybe it's the one. No, it's not called Sonic Under. It's just called Sonic the Hedgehog. But it's the one where it's like they're on Robotnik's planet and it's like
Okay.
really sad. Like people are dying, kind of thing. Like, dude, the comics that Archie does is like that. It's like the really dark and really like legit like.
Do you remember that, like, while in the 90s when, like, every video game had a TV show
Yeah,
and they
that's
were
true.
always really terrible?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Do you remember how they cross over? Mortal Kombat crossed over with Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Who crossed over with Wing Commander? Like, why?
And then your favorite, the Zelda one. Well, excuse me, princess.
right.
When Link would talk and he just...
Oh boy.
Or Super Mario where they sounded
Super
too-
Mario
way
Power
too-
Hour or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, it's all
Talking
good.
about Mega Man.
It's all
Those,
good.
I get pretty nostalgic about the 80s and 90s. I'm not
No,
gonna lie.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
relating with the 90s, we had the big superpower fighting robot, Mega Man. I mean,
Yeah, the
everyone
cartoon
watched
show,
the
and that cartoon show, Mega Man X meets Mega Man.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're absolutely
Do you remember
right.
that episode?
No.
Dude, did you ever watch that cartoon though?
No.
Super fighting robot.
Mega Man.
Yeah, dude, it was bad. It was
That was
it
one I never watched.
It was so bad, actually. I'm not gonna lie. It was because you know my problem with it was
What?
it was not true to Mega Man at all. Like it was
No, it
really
wasn't, no.
yeah. Roll had a vacuum cleaner on her hand. Like
yeah.
her. I mean, like they couldn't just make her like a normal girl robot. They made her vacuum cleaning girl robot. Like you know what?
Feels...
It's
not
really
stereotyping at all.
gender stereotyping like hardcore.
Yeah, that is true.
What
I
could
mean,
be her power? She cleans. Like all women should.
oh man.
Yeah.
But going back, I guess, where was it? Oh, right, in the comics. So, again, this song was so popular that they even made a reference to it in issue number 11 for Mega Man, saying where they have actually Mega Man fighting against Airman. When Mega Man finally defeats him, he has a quote where it says, "No, impossible, you can't beat me." And then that's when Mega Man deals a final blow. So it's transcended, not only just becoming just one little simple
yeah.
song, now becoming pop culture. It's kind of reminds me of like the that one video with the X-Men with the
Juggernaut. I was thinking the same thing, dude. Do you guys remember that? How
I do.
in the X-Men 3, before the X-Men 3 movie came out, there was
Right.
a series of videos. It was called the Juggernaut Bitch videos.
Right.
And basically it's this guy
I'm the
who's
Juggernaut
voicing
bitch.
he's
Yeah.
I'm the Juggernaut bitch.
Do you not know who I am?
Yeah. And so X-Men 3 referenced that
Exactly.
in the movie, yeah.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So it takes something, just something simple and then just transcends over time. Like, there was even a game, I never played it because I heard it was really bad, Rockman Crossover, where they tried to bring all, like, the Mega Mans in one. It was a mobile
okay.
platform that they even used that same song for this one specific event, the online event. So, Airman Got Senai. It's one of those things that just started something simple and then just blew up to like popularity just because they can reflect or the nostalgic memories of, man, I can't really...
Or really also, it comes down to everyone was like, huh, me either, man. Me either. I can't beat anybody in this game.
I love that about old video games where... I feel like here's the thing. In new video games, because we have the internet, it's really easy to like discuss while you're playing with players online. But here's the thing. Old video games, before the internet... I feel like the frustrations we felt were so limited to our own experience that as we're adults and when we actually meet somebody who had the same experience, we're like, dude, like, yes,
instant connection,
it's like an instant connection. Like
where you create the think tank.
I mean, that's why people can just say like certain things and everyone's like, oh my God, like Donkey Kong Country minecart level. And everyone's like,
oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Or Rainbow Road
and Mario Kart. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I had like a really hard thing that I experienced, but I'm not gonna lie, this is very much a niche thing. I played all the top-down Zelda games, right? I've only started recently playing the 3D Zelda games
this guy,
because of.
Yeah,
we've
been friends for how long?
Like almost 20 years. I mean, almost
20 years.
Almost 10 years.
More than 10 years.
2008. No, 2007.
2007. So
almost 10 years,
give or take 10 years.
Yeah.
He had never played Ocarina of Time, and I'd be like talking about Zelda, and he was always like, "Oh, I mean, like I liked, like you know."
Listen, I thought of myself as a huge Zelda fan. Like I played most of the top-down Zeldas. That's the thing. I never owned the 3D consoles at the time when the Zelda games came out, so I never played them. So it's because of Ryan that I've started to play the 3D games.
Okay.
I played Ocarina so far. And the next game I'm playing is Majora, which I need to get to.
That's a good one.
Majora, Ryan's told me many times, that is the Noosh game. Like that is Noosh's Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, Ocarina was more. I mean, I loved Majora's Mask, but Ocarina was like my thing, I guess. But just like the way Majora's Mask plays and like the story and everything, I feel like it's definitely it's your thing.
It's definitely a fish out of water kind of feel when you play that one. It's very different.
Well, yeah, it's like creepy, and I think it's very atmospheric. You know, the thing about also just the whole video game thing, like me and Ryan's experience with Zelda, and I think I want to reference Mass Effect 2 with this one, but like I love the fact that with some games, especially, your experience is so entirely different than somebody else that it's almost like, wow, I can't believe you and we have similar emotions toward it, because I have strong feelings towards Zelda, but my strong feelings come from a very isometric top-down perspective. because when I played Ocarina, like Ryan is very nostalgic about some of the scenes and moments and music and places in Ocarina, and I'm also nostalgic about those same music, same stuff. Like he's for example, Kakariko Village in Legend of Zelda, for him, is Ocarina of Time Kakariko Village. For me, it's Link to the Past Kakariko Village, where it's got that little, like, top-down, like, windmill and stuff. I don't know. It's like, for me, it's a totally different Kakariko Village. Like, I don't know. It's just... I'll tell you this.
Same thing with Mass Effect also.
Mass Effect, like, because Mass Effect's very, very customizable, you're playing different characters. I mean, Ryan's experience was so entirely different than mine, down to the point that when he chose his Shepard, when he chose his character Shepard, you were biotic, right?
Yeah, I was a man who might be out of bullets, but never out of options.
That's how I describe it. A man out of bullets, but never out of options. My character was a pure soldier. My perspective on the entire universe of Mass Effect is, I'm not a biotic. I don't have powers. I'm just a regular guy. I'm an ordinary man.
You know what's really funny about
extraordinary
that
world.
Is Noosh is notoriously bad at shooting
video
games.
I am,
and he chose
bad.
the one class where all you can do is fucking shoot.
Yeah.
Like you can't do anything else, and he's terrible at it.
Me and Ryan and my experiences in playing shooters, we've played multiplayer shooters for years.
Yeah.
And not even in one game, multiple games, I am notorious for doing this thing where I have like a rocket, some kind of like an instant kill weapon, and I will miss at point blank range. I will shoot it above, but through their legs.
I'll miss.
Ground. I will kill myself. Oh, I will miss every time. And the weird thing about that whole thing of me being a terrible shooter and terrible like rocket launcher kind of person is I'm a really great sniper for some reason, which doesn't make any sense.
That's interesting,
right? I mean, would you say that I'm a pretty?
You're all right. I'm just kidding.
Is it because of the scope?
Listen, at least compared to the rest of your shooting, you're very good.
Yeah. I will never no scope, man. I need the scope.
You need the scope. Okay.
You're a far-sighted shooter.
Yeah, I think it really is that he just
That
like
could be it.
when you zoom in,
Yeah.
as long as you're zooming in the general direction of something, that guy's like way bigger. So no, I can shoot anywhere now.
A boosted confidence.
I'll tell you this, Ryan. Look, like I miss us playing multiplayer shooters only because of just the funny, ridiculous
Dude,
situations.
I think about Spire Flyer
Yeah,
and all those other moments
Yeah.
often and fondly.
One of my Ryan and I'm like I want to share this before we go on.
Sure.
Continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but like one of my favorite stories in Halo Reach. It was Reach, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Reach. Is there's a multiplayer map called Spire, where there's a giant tower, and when you're doing capture the flag, the flag is on top of the spire, and the attacking team is on the bottom. You have to scale it. Defending team's the top, and there's helicopters, there's ships to get up there. You
Right.
can take the elevators multiple ways. Our team just rushed in to take the elevator to get up there somehow. Ryan and I had a plan, and we planned this out. We practiced it, but we've never pulled it off. But basically, the plan is I'm piloting.
Dude, I'm smiling just thinking
Yeah,
about
dude.
how ridiculous this was.
It was bonkers, dude. We had a helicopter, and the whole thing was, okay, I'm piloting the helicopter. Ryan gets in. I fly to the top of the spire, where the inside is where the flag is.
And also, the team in there has like machine gun turrets.
Yeah.
They have stuff to just
They have stuff to,
they'll
like,
obliterate
wreck
you.
you.
That's why no one ever flies up there.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I flew up to the top, and I just I didn't park. I just hovered at the edge of the thing. Ryan gets out, and he jumps onto the tower, and he goes in by himself and fights like 5 guys or
And
something.
you flew away.
No, I stayed outside.
I don't know. I mean, you flew enough away to not get shot.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell my part of it. But Ryan, his whole thing was he had to fight like a million guys to get that flag.
Oh,
Outside, my whole thing is I'm just hovering a little bit close by, but not too close.
Mm-hmm.
My one thing I remember is one guy sees me. He walks outside the enemy team. He sees me. He's like, this guy's hovering in front of the spire, not doing anything. So he runs at me to jump onto my helicopter and steal it. So he jumps in the air, and I watch him jump in the air, and I just move my helicopter back like a few feet, and he just falls like 20 stories down to his death. Eventually, Ryan comes out, and Ryan's got the flag. He's like 3 guys shooting at him to
Right.
like get it. And here's the thing you have to know about this game. You can't get the flag and get in the helicopter. You
You
can't.
can't be in a vehicle with the flag.
You can't.
Oh,
So
no.
Ryan has to jump onto my helicopter and just land on like the wings, and then we have to balance. I have to balance going down, this,
Wow.
like flying down, and Ryan has to balance staying on. And basically, dude, we balanced. That's the practice part. We balanced it all the way down. We just flew down towards like the beacon where we have to drop off the flag. Here's the funniest part: we're flying down, and we see at the beacon there's an enemy soldier guy, and this player is just parked there. He's got his gun ready, waiting to shoot anybody who comes at the beacon with a flag.
Right.
But he didn't realize we're flying down on top of him with this helicopter. And I saw him. He looks up, and he just has no time. We just land right on top of him. And I'm like, Ryan, get out, get out. This guy starts to like get out from under the helicopter and try to like shoot us. Ryan circles around him, and he drops the flag off the beacon. We win. So, the end of game stuff starts to roll.
Right.
Ryan gets in the helicopter, and then this other dude who like gave up, he's like, oh, I lost. He gets in the helicopter, and we all just fly away. It was like an amazing moment.
And you ride off into the sunset.
That's what I was just thinking.
Basically. Sorry, go
Very
on.
nice. No, I mean, that's the whole. I mean, the main gist of it. I mean, I guess a lot. Do you think our viewers can probably listen to it at one point? This video, or can we just send them a link?
We can
to
link
put a
it.
link on
We
the-
can link it.
Okay, yeah.
in
I
the
mean, if they
post.
just do, if they can just do a search of Airman Gatao Sedai, and then they can probably get the gist of it, of what the main story is.
Yeah.
But I mean, in other words, I guess other fun facts in relation to Mega Man. I mean, I don't want to turn this to be anecdotal of my experience with Mega Man, but I do like learning about the history behind it and learning the little interesting tidbits. Once you defeat a video game, everyone knows that you see the staff credits. You see, oh, this guy worked on this, or there was like 5 or 6 people or 10. Back in the day, the NES teams were pretty small, pretty short, and typically they would put in their names, but at least with nicknames, so to speak. For Inafune, he named himself Enough King, which I don't know. I thought that was an oddball choice, but it turns out that he had a series that was called, I think, Mufin, and there was a character called Snafukin. So he just wanted to correlate, okay, my name's Inafune, Snafukin, Inafune, Inafkin. Okay, that sounds great. And then the famous composers. You like music so much, especially from Mega Man. I don't want to
Who was
botch her
composer
name.
for his,
Hold on, I have her name. I don't want to botch it.
Because whoever she is like epic level legend.
Oh yeah,
Like, she is.
So that would be Manami Matsumae, otherwise known as.
Thank you, Manami-san. you changed video game music forever.
She's known as, get this, Chancha Korin Manami. So that's her name in the credits. So if you ever want to find out who it is, that's the only way you'll find out.
Yeah.
But I figured that I would assume that would take up some, I guess, some memory space. But I guess you would think you want to attach your name with some credits. You know, I did this, I worked on this. But I guess for them, I guess they wanted to occlude it or hide it in a sense.
You want to be like anonymous, I guess?
Yeah, be anonymous and then be distinct, and also maybe perhaps they were scared that maybe another company may want to hire them for a different project and not leave their company, so to speak. I don't know.
So they were loyal, or the company
in a way,
was, like,
yes, they were
paranoid?
loyal.
Yeah.
One of the other, one of those two things, but
Sometimes paranoid and loyal goes hand in hand, I guess.
maybe
in the world of 80s video game production.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I found interesting. And then, of course, I guess I can throw in some more like what should we call it? I guess music related. Like, for example, Mega Man's sidekick, Rush, his dog.
Yeah.
Many people thought that he was named after the Canadian band named Rush.
Yeah,
the same.
dude. Yeah.
But it's not, unfortunately.
Killing dreams right now.
I'm sorry, guys. There was a quote by Inafune that it's not actually by the band Rush, but it's actually by another Capcom game called Rush and Crush.
Okay.
That's where he got the name for it.
All right. Well, this leads into my story. Because my topic is on Mega Man X. And I want to say this. This is a article I wanted to write for the Game Pop for years. It's actually... This is a news original. This is
Disclaimer.
This is a theory that I've had about Mega Man X for years that I've wanted to talk about. I mean, the games, there's a lot of evidence in the games, but I don't think that anybody outright said this. So my experience, Mega Man X is the spin-off series of Mega Man, most people know.
Right.
If Mega Man is the child of the 80s, Mega Man X is the child of the 90s. It is the 90s
It's definitely
game.
the one that I think of when I think of
Actually, let me ask, like, how many of the Mega Man games have you guys played? How many? I want to make a guess. I feel like Ryan's played the original trilogy.
Yes.
Have you played anything after that?
What were the ones on Game Boy? I played some of those. I played.
Okay, yeah, they were mostly remakes of the of the original.
Oh, I was talking about the later ones, like on.
Oh, you mean like Mega Man Network, Battle Network?
Yeah.
Network,
I played that.
That's not X, but yeah.
No, I know that's not X.
It's
But I also
thing.
played X. Was what, Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played X. I played X2. I played whatever that.
X3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trilogy, the original trilogy. Have you played any Mega Man X games? Have you?
Nope.
I played most of them except for X7.
Okay.
That's the only one I haven't played.
That's the same with me. I've played all the way from X1 to X6. So when I'm playing, here's the thing. When I'm playing the later, and you might experience this also.
Yeah.
Chime in if you experience.
Sure.
When you play the later Mega Man X games, dude, you start to get this really weird vibe. I got a really weird vibe. And the vibe I got was like, I felt bad doing what I was doing. And I started to feel less and less like a hero and more like a monster. And I really didn't understand why I was feeling this way about Mega Man, because I've never experienced that with the Super Nintendo games at all.
Yeah.
But it's the later games where I'm starting, and it's a continuous story. It's like the whole story is told continuously. So I didn't understand why the later games made me feel this way. So I started thinking about this, and this is my theory.
Sure.
Here's the thing about Mega Man, the entire Mega Man X franchise, and this is my thesis on it. The two main characters in Mega Man X, and hereafter we're going to call him X, and Zero, they're good people. They are. But they are heavily indoctrinated by the propaganda of their government. And their government is extremely corrupt and extremely fascist. And the thing is, because the entire story is told through these characters' eyes, you're also indoctrinated, because you only know the good things about the government, the perspective that Mega Man and Zero have, and because of that, you don't know the negative elements. And I'm gonna show you exactly why I felt so weird playing this game. But the equivalent of how I feel about this game and these characters is the government is fascist, it's corrupt, and it's using these enforcers called the Maverick Hunters, that are basically the equivalent of Nazi SS officers to oppress an entire minority group in this future society. Like, it is dark when you really think about the consequences of what you're doing in this game.
So you're saying Mega Man and Zero are like the Nazi.
They're the Nazi SS. They're the enforcers of like a fascist government. So basically, here's the thing. Just so you caught up.
Sure.
In the original Mega Man games, they're robots, and they're referred to those old robots because there's a continuation of the Mega Man timeline. The robots in the Mega Man X timeline are the old robots are called mechanoids. They're basically programmed robots. They're like robots who are they're programmed. For example, Mega Man is a robot programmed to save people.
That's right.
Cutman is from the original games is a robot who cuts things. He's programmed to cut. Right. Gutsman is a construction working robot.
Right.
Like they're programmed to do these things. But the thing, and then they're basically servants to humanity. These mechanoids, right? They have no thought. They're just robots. They serve humanity by doing labor for humanity. They work that way. But the thing is, in the Mega Man series, they have a type of robot, a new type of robot called Reploids. I'm going to keep referring to the Reploids as just robots, honestly, to keep it simple. But when I say robot, I mean Reploid. And what a Reploid is in the future of this Mega Man timeline, they find two capsules. This is the story. They find two capsules. One of the capsules has X, and the other one has 0. And the idea is X was created by the creator of the original Mega Man, Dr. Thomas Light. 0 was created by Mega Man's arch enemy, Dr. Light's arch enemy from the original games, Dr. Wily. I didn't know his first name. It's Albert. Albert Wily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
the thing is,
name.
these two capsules found, right? The thing is that there's no Mega Man X was created by Dr. Light to be the first thinking, feeling, sentient robot.
Right.
He's not just programmed to be good. He can think about things, he can feel things, and he can make his own decisions. He is a sentient being. But Dr. Light put him in a capsule because the world wasn't ready for him. So when they find him thousands of years in the future in the world of Mega Man X, they create more sentient robots based on Mega Man X's design.
Right.
So they create a bunch of these, like hundreds and thousands of these new Reploid robots who are thinking, feeling creatures, sentient beings. And specifically the reason they're able to think and feel is they have something called the suffering circuit, which is they feel pain and they feel empathy towards pain. So because of that, they can think and feel and understand somebody else's pain. So that's the whole idea. But the problem with this whole system that they create in this future is that they basically just replaced those mechanoids, those programmed robots, with these Reploid robots, these robots that can think and feel. They just basically created these Reploids to do jobs. For example, characters in the Mega Man games, Tunnel Rhino, he's a miner. Blizzard Buffalo is an ice sculptor. Neon Tiger, by the way, for the longest time, he's an X3. Yeah. I had no idea what Neon Tiger. Why would you make a tiger who does /claw? Dude, apparently Neon Tiger is a wildlife protector. He stops poachers. What? That's his whole thing. He fights poachers. That's the purpose. Cool. So all these Reploid robots are created with a purpose, a single thing, just like mechanoids. They have a job. They serve humanity, and they do labor for humanity. But there is a big issue with that because humanity creates them, registers them, creates them for these jobs. Any deviancy from that is prohibited. So you are creating beings who can think and feel and want things, but you're restricting them to what you created them for.
Yeah, right, so slavery.
Slavery. It's basically slavery. It is the arrogance of humanity that they can create free-willed thinking beings just to, fan you and fix your car.
Dig tunnels.
Yeah. So it's really messed up. And basically the idea is if you break your protocol, if you break the design that you were created for, you're designated as a maverick. A maverick robot is like a rogue robot.
Right.
And there's 3 ways in this universe to go maverick. First way is error corruption. Basically, it's that a Reploid robot goes berserk due to corrupted code. And the idea was that it's because they didn't copy X's designs perfectly, and because of that it's there's flaws in the system, and also one of the flaws in the system is specifically sudden bursts of existentialism. They're just literally it's in the manual. It's just they're kind of why do I exist? Why am I digging these tunnels?
Westworld.
They are freaking out. The error corruption is basically them, these sentient beings being what am I doing? What is this life? Right. They freak out. But that is...
Dude, you know who they are? Who? Remember the toast robot or the butter robot in Rick and Morty?
Yes!
What do I do? What is my purpose? Pass the butter. Oh God.
Basically, I mean, they're freaking out. An example of that is Zero. Zero's whole thing was he was crazy because he was existential. The other way that they can become mavericks, right, rogue robots, is viruses can make them do that. And this is like the most common thing. This is the bread and butter of Megaman X, the original trilogy, 1 through 3. They get affected by the Maverick virus, or the Sigma virus as it's called, and it messes with their logic and their empathy. It messes up, like completely screws up their suffering circuit, where instead of like feeling empathy, they're like, I want to cause misery and pain. Like, they go crazy basically because of virus.
Guys.
They become bad, pretty much.
Very, very conveniently. They become bad guys.
and I mean, pretty much, like, I don't even have to give you an example of this because almost every single character who you have to kill in the Mega Man games is affected by a virus.
Poor
in the
Neon
original
Tiger.
Yeah, poor Neon Tiger.
Right.
Basically everybody. So the Maverick virus was created by Dr. Wily, and here's the interesting thing. It was incubated inside of Zero's capsule, so Zero's released that into the world when he was awoken. But that was like the whole thing. Like, Dr. Wily created, that's his legacy. But there's one other way, and this is where it gets really fucked up. And I think this is what you haven't experienced yet, Ryan, because you didn't play the later games. The third way that you can be designated as a Maverick robot is free will, political. If you can be branded as a Maverick robot by the government because you did not comply with the laws. And examples of this, so basically if you choose to disobey humanity and break your registration, break your command protocol, you're a Maverick. And there's a lot of examples of this, which I'm going to get into, like Repliforce and Iris and a couple others. But dude, by the way, in the first game, there was actually a few robots who were free will Mavericks.
Very first X.
Boomer Kuwanger, apparently in the manual, he is Boomer Kuwanger, terrible name, but very memorable.
Right. Yeah.
He throws boomerangs, people. That's
he's supposed to be
that's
a beetle.
why he's a beetle, but he's called Boomer Kuwanger. But he chose to,
What was his job?
To throw boomerangs.
To throw boomerangs, dude.
No, I know,
what do
but
you think his job
like,
is?
For what? What a shitty job.
Because
for the
it's
kids.
fun to throw a boomerang.
For the kids.
Have you ever thrown a boomerang?
It's fun for you to throw a boomerang, but if I'm a human and I have a slave, why am I going to be like, listen, slave, throw boomerangs? Entertain
you might
me.
Exactly, it's entertaining.
Look at that thing go that way and come back to you.
I don't know. He might
It
be
takes
still.
skill to get a boomerang to come back to you, though.
True.
Not if you're programmed to do it. Then it's just
Sure.
your job.
If you're a robot.
And what if Boomer Kuwanger doesn't want to throw boomerangs?
Maybe
Right.
There
he'll,
has to
he'll
be more to
train
life
you how
than
to.
this.
He'll train you how to throw a boomerang.
Dude, how sad is it? Their fucking names are their job. Boomer Kuwanger, Tunnel Rhino, Chill Penguin,
Mandrill.
Spark Mandrill. Like, their job is
Except
their
Neon
name.
Tiger.
That's true. He
he's
was
just a
weirdly...
really
Wait,
base,
Chill Penguin,
flashy
though, what
tiger.
was the job for? To just chill?
He relaxes.
No, actually, the first
No.
generation, the first games, Chill Penguin, all the characters in the first game were all military bots. All of them afterwards were like ice sculptors and like random jobs. The first ones were all military bots.
Right.
Like which is weird. Chill Penguin was a soldier in the
Keeps
ice,
things cold.
in the
Right,
cold.
like the Arctic bases.
Arctic base, yeah. Well,
You
anyway,
need ice for your drink, he'll bring it to you.
he is notoriously the easiest and worst.
It's always the one you go to
You
first.
go to
That's
you go to
right.
Chill Penguin first. So basically, in the future, right? So you've got these Maverick robots for various reasons, right? There's an organization called the Maverick Hunters. They are a government-run department that hunts and exterminates Maverick robots. The idea is this: once a robot goes Maverick, you can fix some of them, like corrupted code stuff.
Sure.
But if they're free will Mavericks or if they're virus Mavericks, you gotta terminate them completely. There's no way to fix them. That's like the protocol of the government.
Right.
And the thing is, they have robots hunting robots. Like Megaman X and Zero, they are robots themselves. They're Reploids, but they hunt other Reploids, Mavericks. And the first 3 Mega Man games, you have to remember this: there's no dialogue at all in the first 3 games. It's basically just you play the level. Well, okay, there's dialogue in some parts, but it's
Right.
very, very limited.
Yeah.
For the most part, whenever you fight these enemy robots, it's just you go to the chamber.
walk into the room
You walk
and
in the room.
music plays.
And they're like, yeah, let's fight. And like, they don't even say that. They just fight, and they use
Yeah,
fight, and that's it.
that's
It's just
it.
fighting. There's no dialogue. You don't know who these characters are. You're just killing Chill Penguin. You don't know his personality at all. The game
I know he's
manuals.
chill.
Yeah, he's chill.
Pretty chill.
And that's why he's easy to kill.
Netflix and chill. Yeah.
The game manual always has like additional data, but that never came to the States. The States didn't have that. The Japanese manuals did. So you don't know who these characters are, their personalities. But apparently all of them had personalities. So the first 3 Mega Man games, the Maverick Wars as they're called, are basically, brief idea of the plot is just this enemy robot named Sigma, we know this, right? He infects all these robots, these robots with the Maverick virus, and they go crazy. And as Mega Man, you just go around killing all of them. That's your job is you kill everything that's a Maverick. There were some characters who were surprisingly not Maverick robots. I'm going to mention one thing. There's a few of them, dude. Boomer Quanger, Sting Chameleon, Storm Eagle.
Sting Chameleon was free willed?
He was. Dude,
Wow.
actually, you feel
Fucking hate
bad.
Sting Chameleon.
You feel bad for killing Sting Chameleon and Storm Eagle for one reason, dude. The reason they're enemies is because Sigma has hostages. And they're fighting you because they're like, I can't let these people die. And that's why you're fighting them.
Dude, Sting Chameleon was such a dick.
He looked like a dick.
But he was really a good guy, and I killed him.
I had no idea.
That was their whole thing. Yeah, a bunch of them were
After he killed me like 1,000 times, fucking asshole.
Right? Yes.
Well, actually, no. I mean, good for him, I guess, now. Because whatever.
Well, dude, here's
Very conflicted.
I want to give you guys some quotes because
Sure.
here's some in the later in the 2000s they released a new version of Mega Man X that actually has dialogue with the enemy robots. And I want to read you some brief dialogue only because I want you to get an idea. And I'm going to read more dialogue later.
Kill me.
But I want to give you an idea of just how kind of shitty X and Zero are. Dude, at one point when you fight Armored Armadillo, he says, talking about Sigma, whether he's insane or not, it's not my place to judge him. I must obey. And X says, looks like you've got Maverick. I'm taking you out. That's what he says before he kills Armored Armadillo. Later on, another Maverick, Vile, he talks about wanting to change the world, right? He's talking about changing the world. And Zero says to him, change the world sounds like Maverick talk to me. Dude, like, the stuff that they say is weird. And the thing about X and Zero is once, like, when you hear their dialogue, their problem, dude, is they believe. They're believers in what they're called to do, killing Mavericks. They truly believe killing Mavericks is the right thing to do. And they use the term Maverick as an insult. And, I mean, they take it personally. For them, it's like personal that they've got to kill Mavericks. So they're believers in what this government is doing. And that's scary. You're playing these guys.
You're fucking racist.
So after the X3 games, here's what happened. And this is a unique thing. I don't think they expected this. After X3, all of a sudden the games go to PlayStation because it's PlayStation. Two things. One, more room for dialogue, more room for everything. But second thing is this. They realize every single fight in every single game is the same thing. You go to a room, you kill a guy. You go to a room, you kill a guy. It's never different. And so because of that, they're like, all right, let's give the robots some personality. That way you know who you're killing. Basically. Sure. They want to change it up.
So rather than well, don't just go to a room and kill a guy. Go to a room and feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Not even. Well, here's the thing.
Get to know
not
him
even
first.
That.
Get to know him first. Take him to dinner first.
Yeah. Take him to a movie, then kill him. But here's the thing: it's still a action shooter game, so because of that,
they don't Netflix and chill.
They don't want to give you too much dialogue to where it slows down the pace. So basically, dude, I'm not even joking, dude. The dialogue for every single villain in all games afterwards, from X4 onward, basically boils down to 4 lines. First line: villain says something existential, political, or sad. Next line: Mega Man or Zero say they sound like a Maverick. Third line: villain is upset at being called a Maverick. Fourth line: Mega Man or Zero claims they have no choice but to destroy the enemy. That's how every single conversation goes. And the crazy thing is this: because they want to have personality for the villains, but also rush into battle and keep the pace of the game, they make Mega Man and Zero sound like fucking lunatics, dude. Like, they sound crazy.
And this is why you start feeling bad.
This is the beginning of that. Mega Man X4 does something no other Mega Man game does, and this is the one that we are going to kind of focus on a little bit. Basically, the story is this. Sigma orders this enemy character named Magma Dragoon to crash a floating city in the sky called Sky Lagoon into another city on the ground, right? And he does. He crashes the city into the ground. There's this independent, organization that works with the government, but they're independent of the government, called Repliforce. And they are a peacekeeping organization run by Reploid robots, right? That's their whole thing. They're kind of similar to Maverick Hunters, but they don't work for the government. They're, independent. The government doesn't trust Repliforce, and there's files that they've kept where they're just they're potentially dangerous. We might have to deal with them one day. That's how the government sees Repliforce. But Repliforce's whole thing is peacekeepers, right?
So it's kind of like
the UN,
Russia being in the UN.
Yeah, it's like that. So
I guess there are allies, but
yeah. keeping an eye on
I know
you.
what's going on over
Yeah,
there.
we don't know what's going on in Repliforce. So the Maverick Hunters and Repliforce respond to the Sky Lagoon crash at the same time. They're like, oh shit, what's going on? Like, people died. They're trying to rescue people, save people.
Right.
But the thing is, the government's like, whoa, what's your involvement with this crash? And Repliforce is like, well, no, we're just here to help. We're here to save people. But the government says, well, you know what? We want you to disarm, come in for questioning so we can figure out what the situation is. And Repliforce is like, whoa, you have no sovereignty over us. Like, we are our own thing. We're not going to disarm just so you can question us. We didn't do anything. We're here to help. And so because the government, because they refuse to disarm and give in to the government's, policies or whatever, the government's like, that's it. You guys are mavericks. You guys are all mavericks. And the general of Repliforce, his whole thing is like, dude, this is crazy. How could you guys, call us maverick robots just because we don't want to comply with your laws, right? And disarm, even though we're independent. So the general of Repliforce declares that, you know what? We're going to build our own Reploid nation, an independent nation just for Reploids. And he says this specifically, all the robots that are in Repliforce, yeah, we're going to start our own nation. We're not going to live in this country anymore. And the general specifically says this. He says, but remember, this is neither about insurrection or rebellion against our human creators. This is about our own liberty and security. We must fight for our individual rights, and we will build our nation as a sanctuary for all Reploids. That's his whole thing. He's just like, we're going to make a nation, we're going to live in peace, we're not going to hurt any human beings, though. But the government's like, no, we're not having this. And they send X and Zero to eliminate Repliforce. Dude, that's what you're doing in X4. You're killing Repliforce just because they want to start their own nation. And there are 3 guys in Repliforce who are like working for Sigma, and they're the ones who are manipulating situations.
That's true.
By the way, they're the shittiest sounding characters. Split Mushroom, Cyber Peacock.
Oh, boy.
They're pretty shitty, but actually the game is really cool in one way, dude. When you're fighting enemies, there's a symbol. All the enemies have Repliforce brand symbol. But the enemies that are working for Sigma secretly have Sigma's signal when you fight symbol when you fight them. So it's kind of got that vibe of conspiracy stuff going on. Anyway, the point is this: that's who you're killing in the Mega Man X4 game. And I'm gonna breeze through the other ones. Mega Man X5, dude. The enemies are infected by the Sigma virus. But here's the thing. All of them point out shit about Maverick Hunters that makes you feel shitty. They basically talk about how Maverick Hunters like X and Zero are just like Sigma. They're overconfident and they're ruthless, and they refer to Maverick Hunters as scum. Basically, they're treating them as Blade Runners, like, you filthy Blade Runners. And basically, dude, the crazy thing is X and Zero insist that they only retire Mavericks. But when questioned about why they have no other response other than violence, one person responds, who decides what a Maverick is? They're questioning this whole idea. By the way, one of the characters in that game, Squid Adler, he is, dude, straight up, he's this is ridiculous. He's a retired Maverick Hunter. His whole thing is just, I've seen too much shit. I don't like the corruption in the government. I'm done. You kill you kill a retired Maverick Hunter in that game. X6 and X7, none of them are infected with a virus. They're all political mavericks. One of them, I'm not even joking, X6, they're fucking investigators, dude. They're investigating some kind of weird event that's going on called Nightmare, and the government's like, no, we can't let them find out the truth about Nightmare. Kill them all. In X7, they're vigilantes. The whole thing is they're killing mavericks also, but they're not government sanctioned. And so the government's just like, nah, take them out. And so you take out this group called Red Alert because they're also Maverick Hunters. So in the games, pretty much from X4, X6, and X7, you're just killing dudes who are not bad. You're just killing dudes because they're not with the government. There's a quote I want to go back to. I want to go back to these quotes now, right? The stuff where X and Zero are saying, sounds like Maverick talk. I want you to remember this now. The first games I quoted, those are all virus Mavericks. They're crazy. They want to kill people, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But these quotes I'm about to read you, these are quotes from normal Mavericks who are they're just trying to start their own government, start their own nation, whatever. They're not evil. Fucking the ridiculous names. Bamboo Pandemonium.
Oh boy, yeah.
Wow.
Bamboo Pandemonium. He he laments this. He's very sad. He says, all of history has been spent making things whose sole purpose is to destroy missiles, Reploids. X says, You talk like a maverick. And Zero says, give me a break. This perfect world you mavericks keep blabbering about doesn't even exist. Dude, that's what you're saying to a dude who's sad about violence.
He's like, I wish we would all just get along. And he's like, you fucking hippies.
There's a guy called Snipe Anteater, and he says that he claims that a world of peace between humans and Reploids is not possible. And X says, you're wrong. We can create a world without war. Utopia is not just a dream. And Snipe Anteater says, you can't build a utopia on top of the graves of rebels like myself.
Oh, that's deep.
It's like, holy shit, dude. Like later on, you feel pretty shitty about killing things. And dude, and this is the point. This is the last thing I want to leave you with that makes you realize the entire series of Mega Man X, all 8 games, you are a bad guy. In the 8th game, you find out the truth about the entire series, which is Sigma was never the true bad guy. Sigma was manipulated all this whole time in Maverick Wars, where he's giving viruses to enemies, and there's rebellions, and, you know, some Reploids are peaceful, they want to start their own nation, but you kill them anyway, all this stuff happening. Sigma, the main villain bad guy, was manipulated by this character called Lumine. And Lumine's entire goal, the entire series, was he was using the viruses, he was using all this political manipulation to allow all Reploids, not just a few, to gain true freedom, true free will from humanity. His whole goal was he wants all Reploid robots to be able to go Maverick at will. Not just through a virus, not through corruption. Everyone can choose to go Maverick and break their own programming, because some of them have a harder time breaking programming if they're really, really designed for one thing. If their existence is to dig a tunnel, even if they can think for themselves, it's hard to break out of that mold. But he wanted to give all Mavericks or all Reploids the ability to choose to go Maverick on their own and decide for themselves what they want to be and who they want to be. And dude, X and Zero, in the final battle, they claim Lumine is the enemy. And Lumine says, this isn't a black and white issue. You use these terms like ally, enemy, maverick, but what do they even mean? And in the end, though, you still kill Lumine. Like, that's the final boss. You murder the shit out of Lumine. And Lumine, the last words he says is that old mavericks like you, like referring to X and Zero, he says, old mavericks like you will never understand what we're trying to build and what we're trying to do here. And the biggest issue, dude, is like at the end, they fail. At the end, X and Zero fail, and basically all Mavericks now have the ability to go or all Reploids, robots, can go Maverick at will. And at the end, like, dude, this is the shittiest thing. At the end,
X just goes, we got a lot of work to do.
Dude, you're riding down an elevator, and like X is like in deep in thought. He's always the more the pacifist, you know.
Sure.
And he's just like you know, Zero, like what do you think about what we're doing? Like, I mean, do you think that it's true that all, you know, Reploids will go Maverick? And what about what our purpose is in stopping all of this from happening? And Zero basically says like nah, like we know what we have to do and we have to take care of them all. Like he basically just says, nah, we got a lot of Mavericks to kill. Dude, I mean, basically by the end of it, they refuse to change their ways. Like they truly believe in killing these renegade robots deemed by the government. And I mean, that's basically my thesis, dude. By the end of this, like, you realize by the end of the series, you've been playing the bad guys the whole time. They're stopping an entire, like, race of sentient beings from gaining freedom.
Sure.
And that's your job for 8 games.
That's true.
I mean, you know, it is what you're programmed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in a way it goes into, like, one, the idea that a player can be indoctrinated because you're playing the hero, but are you really playing the hero? And then 2, just...
It's very much Spec Ops.
It's Spec Ops line.
Except Spec Ops is not subtle about it. Like, like I think there's even conversations at the end of the game where they're like, someone just asks you like, "What the fuck were you thinking? Like, how did you get to this point?" And you're just like, "Well, we came here to do a job." And they're like, "No, man, you came here just to see what happened. No one told you to like murder all these people or to like." There's actually a scene in that game where you use white phosphorus on like a group of civilians, which is essentially like napalm.
Oh, man.
And, I mean, at the time when you're doing it, which is weird for me to say, but you think that that's what you're supposed to do, and you have to, like, walk through their bodies, and it really forces you to be like, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I was going to say, all of this sounds like, if you go into it, maybe just the idea of what soldiers have to deal with in the actual army. Like, are you just following blindly orders, or what's the larger picture? I mean, with all the wars and stuff going on, it's like, are we really the heroes? Or, I mean, they're fighting for their country, too.
We're
so
not.
who's...
Yeah, I'm gonna actually go out there and say
war is never the answer.
We are
Yeah.
kind of the bad guys of the world.
Well, I always, I remember in a couple papers, but it's like, for me anyway, in history, it seems like World War II was the only time really where you could say, this is good,
Definitively.
this is bad,
Yeah.
and this is what we're fighting for. But all the other ones is just like, I don't know.
Everything else has been
It's very gray area.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, that's all.
Great
it's got.
topic, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, we are over time, so we should wrap up.
Sure.
Anything you guys want to... Is there anything you want to signal boost, Kent?
Signal boost?
Yeah, I mean, anything you want to shout out to? You want to promote at all?
I mean, I guess. Well, you did mention that maybe later in the future I could probably come in to talk about in terms of my career
pathology?
speech
Yeah,
pathology. So I mean, I could do a shout out for
we can do
CSUN
some.
NISLA, which is the National Student Speech and Language and Hearing Association.
Okay.
Not sure when that could happen, but if we were to do a topic, I'd love to share with
Listen,
you guys.
considering how desperately we seek out,
I mean, we need
guests.
someone every week, so
Yeah, so I mean, we can do that. Well, let's arrange it.
Sure.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And
Courtney, shout
I was
out.
going to say, kind of on that note, if you guys ever want to reach us, we did just create a Gmail.
Yeah.
So you can
Ooh.
reach us
Oh, yeah.
at Ryan and
And
Noosh are
Twitter.
dead at gmail.com. You can also tweet at us, which is just at Ryan and Noosh. And of course, follow us on Facebook because we'll be more active on that and get
Yeah.
stuff up
We
and
also
going.
have an Instagram.
Yes, we do.
Instagram, try to
Nice.
get more on that stuff. And
Yeah.
we are working on getting the shows up on an archive kind of thing. There is a link up there, and there's only like 3 episodes
Yeah.
now, but we'll get more stuff up.
We will
One day.
have an archive as soon as we
Right.
can.
So, yeah, just
Yeah.
keep in
Sure.
touch.
Also,
Right, yeah.
shout out to the creators of Bayer Back and Body for saving my life over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm in so much pain.
Sorry, man.
It's cool. Drive safe, people. That's
Yeah.
my... Don't crash into
Life
people.
is not a game.
It
No,
sucks.
it's not.
There's no restart.
Especially-
There's no restart button.
Yeah, especially when you are like... I think once you hit like 26 and older,
Yeah.
maybe a little like 27 and older, you don't bounce back as much as you
You hear
think you're
clicks a
supposed to.
lot
Yeah.
more often when you move your
You
body.
make a lot of grunts when you
Yeah.
get up. It's like,
Yeah.
I've got nothing to signal boost, so I'm good. So thank you guys for joining us on another episode. We will be back again next week for Election Day
oh yeah.
for our topic,
Woo.
democracy.
Oh, man.
Democracy 2016.
I'm the least excited I
I-
could possibly be. I'm
Me-
not gonna lie.
Ryan and I are pretty not what's the word, disillusioned. So we'll talk about that in the future.
Sure.
Whatever. But okay. So thanks for joining us today, guys, and we will leave you with this song, which is it is actually by a DJ named Too Mellow, and he took the music of
Oh,
my
man.
favorite game of all time, Chrono
One of
Trigger,
my favorites
and one
also.
of Ryan's favorites too. It's something we both love, Chrono Trigger. He took the music of Chrono Trigger and he mixed it with Jay-Z's music, and it's Jay-Z's lyrics, and
Chrono Jigga.
it's called Chrono Jigga. The album's called Chrono Jigga. This song is called Ignorant Scene, which is by Jay-Z and Too Mellow. Hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Ryan and Noosh Are Dead is made possible thanks to KDHR, the student-operated radio station of California State University, Dominguez Hills. For more information about KDHR, please visit www.kdhr.net. The intro song for this show is Space Ace by Blind. This music is made available thanks to Overclocked Remix. For more information, please visit ocremix.org.